Hey guys, we're back. So the controlling aspect and all the submissions behind BJJ
Tony's in real trouble. Real trouble. Pain. He's not even defending.
makes it a martial art that is very, very good. The question is, do we use BJJ in self-defense and also in MMA?
Submissions. Oh, armbar! He's got it! He has got it right here! He might break that arm, Mike. He might break that arm. Wow!
Let me know.
Since its emergence, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has always been faced with one problem. A problem that has been a blessing in disguise, caused the sport to evolve and made it one of the most high-flying combat sports in this century. The problem that has always been and will continue is how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will fare in a fight outside of BJJ's rules.
For somebody who studied war, who participated in war, what do you think is the best martial arts for hand-to-hand combat outside the constraints of sport?
It's not one answer. The answer to me is Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, and on down the list.
Stop. Go home. Yes, this is my dad.
On camera. Okay.
I'm recording the thing.
Are you done? Are you done? Yeah.
From Vale Tudo fights in the early 1930s,
after 6 minutes. So with Kato rendered unconscious, the Japanese champ had no choice.
to gym battles, and now the refined MMA.
That's a genius, and we're down there at the moment. This is trouble for Nakahara. It doesn't last long.
BJJ has always been put to the test. But what separates just a BJJ hobbyist learning jiu-jitsu to protect himself and a BJJ professional going into the octagon to test his skill among the best in diverse martial arts? From time, BJJ had always been known as a self-defense martial art, primarily focused on taking the fight to the ground and looking for ways to neutralize the opponent's attack, dominate, and make the opponent surrender. From there, it developed into three more phases: the gi, no-gi, and MMA. MMA and self-defense are the only true tests of how good BJJ is in the outside world.
Bueno, por ahora nadie se agarró.
Para la araña va tranquilo.
Están analizando la jugada.
No, mira.
Guarda con el titán, guarda con las patadas. Ahí arrancó el titán. Vamos la araña, vamos la araña.
Ahí va. Uy, el titán se mandó una muy jugada. Le salió bien.
This is because MMA embodies most of the attributes of self-defense, as it is hardly restricted. Still, there is more that separates one from another. But first, what makes MMA BJJ and self-defense BJJ different from sports jiu-jitsu? In an MMA or street fight, one thing is common. They all start on their feet. You can't start an MMA fight or try to defend an attack by pulling guard. Trust me, you'll get knocked out so quick that you wouldn't be able to see the strike coming. Striking is one of the major similarities between MMA BJJ and self-defense BJJ. Since the Vale Tudo days of Helio Gracie, it has been a part of BJJ. Who wouldn't like getting one back after getting punched in the face? Even when the grappling goat Gordon Ryan went at it with Andre Galvao, he didn't take him down or try to submit him. Rather, Gordon gave Andre not one, but two resounding slaps. Although Gordon Ryan would later go to his jiu-jitsu ways and submit Andre Galvao in the 2022 ADCC final, having a chin, a skill to defend, and some fists to give punches or slaps is necessary in MMA and self-defense. With strikes, submissions are hidden and you could easily take out the opponent. But there's more you can really do to your opponent than just strike in these kinds of fights. In MMA and self-defense, almost every BJJ technique you could think of goes, from slams to twisters. Tikani Basami, you name it. If you can do it, you are not limited to the basics. The main aim is to get your opponent out, however way possible, or to survive, whichever scenario you are in. In MMA, the defense and attack of several BJJ techniques are needed. This is because when facing the best of the best in different fields of martial arts mixed with BJJ, a deficiency of how to counterattack or defend a technique could leave the fighter vulnerable. And as highly skilled as an MMA match is, the other fighter or their corner could recognize it. Take, for example, the famous fight between John Jones and Lyoto Machida.
All right, John, here's the deal. After you kick, he wants to shoot that straight left at you. You know what I mean? Make the kick, lean off an angle, hit him with a 9 or a glue. All right?
It is quite different in BJJ self-defense. According to Hiron and Henner Gracie, the front runners of self-defense BJJ, you need about 36 BJJ techniques to get yourself ready for any scenarios that would require your BJJ skill to come into play.
Shoulder grabs the hood, feeds it, tucks the chin, rolls through, grabs the opposite, tricep expands, pulls, squeezes, and good night.
Unlike MMA, where game recognition and constant evolution are needed, when you're fighting for your life or to survive, you can't be thinking of the most flamboyant submission you'll do. You're going for specific, basic, and effective moves, the one you've practiced over time and have developed muscle memory of. Although most BJJ moves, and even the illegal ones in pure grappling competitions, are welcomed with open arms in MMA, there are still some sneaky moves that are firmly kicked against in MMA. As MMA is a competition for testing how good you are skill against skill, there's no need for sneaky or dirty moves. But when in a self-defense situation where you need to survive, fighting dirty is allowed. There are no rules, referees, or cages to stop whatever you need to do to survive.
Day in the neighborhood, man viciously attacks you out of nowhere and drives you into the bamboo garden. Bamboo choke is the only way to go. Man just robbed a woman on the subway. Take him down one sleeve, choke, and he'll gladly give back the purse. Hook your sleeve, pull it across, grab your forearm, extend both arms, and he's out.
Bites. Groin attacks.
Get up, my goodness me.
Oh my lord, did you see?
And eye pokes.
Yep.
Are some of self-defense mechanisms that can be added to your takedowns or back control. Remember, the goal is survival. You're not trying to put up a fight of the year performance for anyone. That being said, these moves cannot be done in BJJ MMA. Backhead strikes from control.
Those shots are landing.
Or knee to the head of your opponent are firmly kicked against in the biggest MMA organization, the UFC.
I see skinny little Lex out on the street and you start yelling at me and saying you want to fight me. I don't want to fight you. It doesn't matter. I don't care if I can beat you or not. What if you sue me after I get done throwing you onto the concrete? Million bad things that can happen and almost nothing good.
One of the critical takeaways from both MMA BJJ and self-defense BJJ is that one is in a controlled environment and the other is not, so you must expect the unexpected. In MMA BJJ, you can decide to take your opponent down in the middle of the cage, so they won't be able to use the cage to stand up. Or you could decide to take the fight near the cage so you can clinch. All these are done within an environment you have already trained in. But in self-defense BJJ, you take advantage of the environment you find yourself in. One of the pioneers of BJJ self-defense, Elio Gracie, understood the mission and didn't fail to leave instructional videos on how BJJ practitioners can use Jiu-Jitsu to defend against weapons like clubs. Guns, and knife attacks. Knowing how to incorporate timing into setting up your attacks and reacting to how your street opponent is taking your offense is very important. They could be sporadic and everywhere if they know nothing about Jiu-Jitsu, and this could throw you off guard. The training objectives for both MMA BJJ and self-defense BJJ vary slightly. as one is preparing for more dangerous scenarios that could take place, while the other has a set of rules that direct what they could expect in the octagon. It is expected that your jiu-jitsu should also be street ready.
I didn't win all my fight because sometimes there were more than one guys on me, you know? I think it's important to not be the aggressor, so you have the element of surprise.
Just like boxing, Muay Thai, or wrestling, you won't want to be caught in a situation where all the years you've spent in the gym don't reciprocate themselves in a real-life situation when it matters the most, unless you have a bodyguard at all times.